Okay, welcome everyone. I'm calling this meeting to order. My name is Annalee Andres, and I am the Vice Chair of the South Pasadena Public Art Commission. It is now 6:30 p.m. I will call the special Public Art Commission meeting of May 20th, 2024 to order. Before I proceed, I would like to take a moment to go over our meeting protocols for today. The South Pasadena Special Public Art Commission meeting, scheduled on May 20, 2024, will be conducted in person and virtually via Zoom. To maximize public safety while we maintain transparency and public access, members of the public can observe the meeting via Zoom. Okay, so at this point, staff, will you take the roll call?
Commissioner Velasco,
Here.
Commissioner Seal,
Here.
Commissioner Piazza, Commissioner Burke,
Here.
Vice Chair Andres.
I'm here, so we have a quorum. Okay, so our first order of business is the approval of the agenda. In order to do this, we need to have a majority vote of the commission to proceed with commission business.
Madam Chair, may I please, I would like to order one item of that, and that would be commissioner comments.
Okay,
I'd like to move those to the front. If that's possible.
okay. Before we approve the minutes? Okay.
Approve the minutes.
Okay, I think we should go ahead and
Approve the minutes. And
Well,
do rapid.
and then we do need to, I think, do introductions. So I'd like to approve the minutes and then we'll introduce.
Okay, let's-
Okay, so at this time, commissioners and staff, do I have any requests for additions or revisions to the agenda? If so, do so by raising your hand.
moving beyond.
Okay,
Do the
yes,
Introductions. We would do the-
commissioners'
we would
comment.
Do the minutes.
Okay. Okay, that's fine with me. So at this point, we will hold off on the approval of the minutes.
No,
that
no,
what you're-
do the
Okay.
approval of the minutes.
Okay.
Do the.
Approval of the
Introductions.
minutes is happening now, or we're
I
gonna
just didn't
ask
want
for,
to put the commissioner's comments at the very end. Prior to.
okay, that sounds like a good plan. Okay. Seeing no request, I'd like a vote of the commission to proceed with the approval of the agenda as submitted. All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay, great. Okay, at this point, I'd like to have introductions. We have some new members of our commission and welcome, Commissioner Steele and Commissioner Rena. It's lovely to have you here. I think it might, because we have two new commissioners, it might make sense to kind of introduce each other. I'm happy to start. My name Annalee Andres. I've been living in South Pasadena for 17 years. I have 3 children here. I have taught art history at Pasadena City College now for about 16 years. I also have my own art education business called Art in Context, where I teach adults about art, and we also take trips around the United States and the world. And I've been on the commission for 2 years. And yeah. And one fun fact, I lived in New Zealand and I had my first child there. Anyone else like to introduce themselves? Commissioner
Sure.
Burke?
I am Jeff Burke. I am probably the last remaining original commissioner from when this commission was first formed. I looked on my my LinkedIn page was the only way I knew for sure that I've been on this commission for 5.5 years. I live in South Pasadena. In fact, I have been living in the same house come June 1st will be 30 years exactly that I will have been in this house. My kids are gone through the entire South Pass school system and they are grown. And my son is finally getting married at the ripe old age of 33. So there you go.
Thank you. Commissioner Steele?
Hi, I'm Michael Seal. I'm new to the commission. I've been a resident of South Pass for 18 years. I am a freelance special events director and producer. I have also spent time in marketing and public affairs for the Writers Guild and in the cruise travel industry. But I was also at Boston Core Performing Arts Center in Pasadena for 16 years, 9 of which I was the executive director. And we had, I instituted a visual art program in our lobby that was rotating constantly, going through the themes of the plays and things going on inside our theater. So it was, I got to work with curators and it was a lot of fun.
Great.
So,
Well, welcome
thank you.
aboard.
Thank you.
Thank you. How about Commissioner Rena Velasco?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, I'm the other new commissioner. I've been living in South Pasadena for almost 3 years now, not as long as everybody
Welcome.
else, but I'm happy to be here. And my background is in public art for transportation. So I was an engineer for the public art program with Metro, LA Metro. And I'm currently, since the beginning of this year, I'm now a project manager with the marketing team.
Oh,
So I'm happy to still stay within the arts world here.
Excellent. Great.
So,
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
And Commissioner Piazza?
Hi, I'm Dolores Piazza. I have lived in South Pasadena for 24 years. Loved every minute of it. I've spent my time here as a self-employed designer. And prior to that, I was working in film title design, graphic design, along those lines.
Great. Well, great. Thank you. Okay. Since we are going to reorganize the agenda, I am going to shift the comments from Commissioner Communications to the front of the meeting. So at this time,
If I may,
Yes.
Allison Becker, the Deputy Director, before you take up business, you do need to reorganize the actual commission and select a new chair and a vice chair. So I would recommend that you proceed and select your chair and vice chair, and then you can conduct business as you would like.
okay, great. Okay, well, at this time, I am looking for anyone that might be interested in, yes, Commissioner Burke?
I would like to nominate Commissioner Andres as chair of our commission.
Okay, thank you.
I'll second that.
Okay.
No point in tiptoeing around it.
Okay. Well, since we have a name on the board here and we've had it been seconded, do we want to take this to a vote and vote that I become the chair of the Arts Commission at this time? Those in favor say aye.
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 Right?
Okay, great. Those not in favor say nay. Okay, it's unanimous. I am the chair of the Arts Commission. Great, thank you very much. What's that? Okay, at this point, do we have anyone that's interested in the vice chair position or nominating anyone that might want to serve as our vice chair?
I will be officially termed out as of 5 months from now, 6
Okay,
months from now.
so-
So I think it would be not wise for me to be the vice chair.
Commissioner Piazza, are you interested in perhaps being the vice chair?
I believe I'm also termed out at the end of the year. That's what I've been
Okay.
told.
Okay, well, this takes us.
So you have a good chance to be renominated
Oh,
because you can serve 2 3-year terms.
so,
Just throwing that out there.
okay. How does that change your, what, are you thinking you might be interested in being a vice chair? Or we can open the field up?
We can continue to open.
Okay, how about any of these enthusiastic new commissioners that want to hit the ground running in our great commission? We have interesting things in front of us this term, and I'm looking at anyone that might be interested.
Am I able to nominate myself?
You
or-
can
Okay, I
nominate
can
yourself.
nominate myself for vice chair.
Okay, okay, great. Uh, any, Commissioner Seal? Or did you have interest or, okay.
I would second that nomination.
I would second it.
Okay, great. So it's been seconded. So at this point, I'd like to, put it to the group. Commissioner, Rena, as vice chair, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those against? It's unanimous. Well, unanimous. Welcome as vice chair to the Public Arts Commission. Thank you so much for stepping up. I really appreciate it. Okay, so since we are now in action, we are now going to move on to our reorganized item, comments from commissioners' communication. Um, uh,
Well,
Commissioner Burke.
having asked for this, I suppose I should go first. I should say, first of all, that it has been a pleasure and a privilege to serve on this organization, on this commission. As I said, I am the last remaining of the original commissioners that was here. I've been on this commission for 5.5 years. Our goal, as I understand it, is to approve art projects that go with new construction. That is essentially why this commission is here. If I am not mistaking things, in the 5.5 years that I have been on this commission, we have approved one item, I believe. Now, we've had a couple of different developers come before us and do preliminaries, but yet we've only done one. One item has been approved. And I have to assume it's not because I know it's because we've not turned them down. So it's got to be because they are, for some reason, not getting through the system. Now, I should say, I will make this very brief, but I should say, I am one of the applicants who has a development project that is waiting very patiently to get through to be able to get a building permit and be done. There is a certain, I have to say, a dysfunction in the city when, after 5.5 years, the Public Arts Commission that has been charged with approving public arts projects for new construction has only had one project come in front of them. Now, I'm not sure exactly why that is, and I'm not sure if it has to do with the different building departments or the different departments in the city, but I question it. And I have to say, with that, I question the need for this commission. If there is not enough work coming through for us to be here, why are we here? Why are you doing, Annalee, doing the ad hoc committee that's supposed to be doing all this extra effort and putting these things together? Why? I'm not sure I know the answer to that. I am hoping that tonight staff will be able to enlighten us on a few other projects that are in the pipeline. I know I have asked for that in the past. These are the comments that I wanted to make. It's just,
Okay.
if it sounds like there's a growing amount of dissatisfaction, it's because there is, all right? So that's essentially what I have to say. I am happy to be on this commission, and I hope that more projects come through before I have to leave.
Okay, thank you for your comments. I know this is something that I think is a very valid point. And I think perhaps when we talk about our work plan, right, that this is something that our commission has set up that we can, discuss further. And because I know that is something that, is central to this commission. Uh, and, I hear you. I also personally think that our commission used to meet on a monthly basis, and the meetings have basically dwindled down to a point where it's hard to kind of get traction in what we're doing and the purpose of what we're doing. So I take your point. I don't know if this is something that Allison, we can address, we can bring up, we can talk about. I don't know who the appropriate person on the city council would be, or you, or how we could kind of talk about the mechanisms of bringing discussion about current works of art to our committee.
This is Allison Becker, the Deputy Director for the Community Development Department. We did have a pretty lean calendar last year. I think we met 4 times in total. There was a desire expressed at the beginning of last year to meet bi-monthly. In fact, we didn't have a lot of ground to cover in those meetings. So it's always a trade-off as to, do you assemble folks because, you know, to what end, I guess, is really the point. Because this is a formal decision-making body, it's hard, you can't really do work at the dais. So you need to do work in ad hoc groups, which is how the commission decided to work last year. And I think a lot of really good work came out of that last year. You know, one of the things that I mentioned to, I will mention to the commission is that this year, it might be worthwhile to revisit the founding documents for the commission. The commission's purview extends beyond simply reviewing public art proposals that are associated with development. And as a city, we can produce art, public art, support public art in a number of different ways. But in absence of having, you know, funding, the whole idea of creating the 1% for the art program is to generate funding for art projects. And if there aren't developments that pay fees for art projects, then there are no art projects. So I think Commissioner Burke, you know, raises the key point in the last year and a half is that the economic circumstances have meant that for most part, we haven't seen a lot of development projects coming through. That's beginning to change. You know, we do finally have a new general plan, a new downtown specific plan, even though the financial climate is full of uncertainty. There is quite a lot of certainty within our development regulations. And so we are starting to see a new generation of projects come forward. We also are much clearer on when it's appropriate for developers to present art concepts to the Art Commission. I think one of the challenges that I heard from commissioners over the last year and a half that I've been here is that they're not coming early enough. That there needs to be better coordination up front. And so from the administrative side within the community development department, we've done a lot of work to identify the appropriate moment when the public art requirement is revealed to applicants, when we give them the choice of if they would like to produce art on site or if they would like to pay a fee. And then we now have a tracking system for making sure that we follow up on all of that. So while we have not been meeting regularly, I think between what staff has been able to do in-house and what the ad hoc has been able to do over the last year, we actually do continue to advance the interests of public art for the city of South Pasadena. And so I, for one, will continue to advocate for the presence of the commission because I believe that sensibility for the town, that art is important and that we should be using it to enhance our quality of life and our physical environment.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? I know, Commissioner Seal?
Michael Seal, I was just curious, if this commission has been in existence for a little over 5 years, and you say there's only been one project, is there a way to see any sort of history of the 1% or whatever it is to even like over the last 5-10 years, so we can have a sense of what is the history comes from and what's possible coming forward?
What's in the pipeline?
Yeah,
Is I think what you're
yeah.
asking.
Yeah.
Good question.
So you might recall, Mr. Burke, that we did prepare a proposed, we did an inventory. That was one of the activities that the staff prepared last year. One of the things that, again, you need to be mindful of with development projects is that even once development projects are entitled, they have on paper, they have a certain time frame. And if the entitlements don't get vested as building plans, then fees are not collected. And so we went through this exercise of identifying all of the major projects that had been entitled, which would be subject to the public art program fee. And at the end of the day, all of those entitlements expired. And so now we're starting again. The other thing, again, one of the specific aspects of the 1% for the art program, again, we'll share the actual law, so you'll read it, is the way that the fee is assessed and how it's a percentage of the building valuation. It's not the total project that is valuated. It's a portion of it. And, so that's something that needs to be factored in. I think Tatiana's prepared to share our SLIM report on the current activity. And I think that has a lot to do with how building projects are valued. And that's something that the our building official does based on information that is provided by the applicant.
Thank you for that explanation.
Okay. It does seem like that would be very helpful to have kind of a kind of a historical record of that, and something that we could, read and kind of take on board, and also to be apprised of, where we are, what's coming in the pipeline. I think that would be helpful and would be really appreciated by our committee. So,
But I think we've mentioned that before,
yes,
haven't we?
yes, I think.
And I'm wondering if is staff prepared tonight to give us a quick rundown of what's in the pipeline, what's coming our way?
Yes.
This is a good answer. I'll take yes. I
Excellent.
like
So
yes.
is that going to be coming? Is that something that
When
we
that
should get
report is.
now, or can we?
I believe we have an agenda.
Okay.
If you'd like to continue to reorder the agenda, we can do that. We also do have a presentation from the city manager's office we might want to take.
Okay, could we do that?
Well,
And-
why don't we just go ahead with the agenda?
Yeah,
Uh,
okay, let's continue, but we'll continue with the agenda and we can, hopefully, this will be, some of our questions will be answered. Okay, so at this point, we need to, it is recommended that the commission review and approve the minutes. And we first have our minutes from the special February 27, 2023 meeting. And I'm wondering if we've had a chance to review those
Move to approve them as presented.
and I was at that meeting and I second it. Okay. And then we have to move to approve, recommend that the commission review and approve the meetings from the regular April 24th, 2023 meeting. And I know that was a meeting that Commissioner Piazza, you attended.
I move to approve them.
Okay, and I was also at that meeting and I'll move to second that approval. And then we also have minutes from the special September 14th, 2023 meeting. It is recommended that the commission review and approve the minutes. And let's see. So I will move to approve the minutes from that meeting. Does anyone second that?
I will second that.
Okay, excellent. Okay, great. We have approved the minutes from the meetings.
Should actually vote on.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I'd like to vote, please. Do we have a vote to approve the minutes of the 3 meetings? That is the minutes from the special February 27th meeting, the April 24th, 23 meeting, and the minutes from the September 14th, 2023 meetings. Can I have a vote at this time, please? Those who are approve the minutes?
I,
Approved.
Chair, if it be okay, we can go ahead and I'll take the roll call so everybody approves and it could be on.
And
Commissioner Velasco,
Before we
Approve.
begin the thing, by putting this all in one, it's very hard to vote on something you weren't at.
Okay,
Um,
okay,
I mean, I don't want to be difficult, but
Okay,
it
no,
should be
let's
really
do it.
3 votes.
okay.
We did make sure to send along the links to the meetings in advance in order to prepare folks to vote, because our meeting minutes do require a quorum. So if you're not able to vote on a particular one, yeah, that's
Okay,
fine.
I
But we
apologize. This is
encourage
my
you
first
if you
go around.
reviewed
Sorry,
to do
guys.
that.
You're doing a fine job.
Okay, so we need to vote. We've had seconded, moved in a second, minutes from the special February 27th, 2023 meeting. Can we vote to approve these minutes?
All in favor? Call
I
roll.
know it took a roll call.
Commissioner Velasco,
Approve?
Commissioner Seal,
approve.
Commissioner Piazza, Commissioner Burke,
Yes.
Vice Chair Andres.
Yes, approve.
Motion carries.
At this point, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes for the regular April 24th, 2023 meeting. I'd like to put this up for a vote. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Velasco,
Approve?
Commissioner Seal,
Approve.
Commissioner Piazza,
Approved.
Commissioner Burke,
Abstain.
Vice Chair Andres.
Approve.
Motion carries.
At this time, I'd like to put up for a vote approval, the minutes from the special September 14th, 2023 meeting. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Velasco,
Approve?
Commissioner Seal,
Approve.
Commissioner Piazza,
Approved.
Commissioner Burke,
Abstain.
Vice Chair Andres.
Approve.
Motion carries.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Okay, so at this time, we have a presentation. Thank you, our management analyst, Mary Haddad.
Good evening, commissioners, and welcome new commissioners. Mary Haddad with the City Manager's Office. I'm a management analyst. overseeing city communication. So nice to meet you all. I'm here before you all tonight to do a really brief presentation on an analysis that I've been working on initially 2 years ago, and now we're bringing it back 2 years later. So just to provide a little bit of background on that, let me make sure this is working. All right, I heard a buzz. That should work. All right, so in February of 2022, at the request of the city council, the city manager's office brought a report before them on a commission analysis. So it was a very robust discussion. We included different elements of research, including the time that staff was spending on commission-related work, the scopes of various commissions. We looked at different opportunities for continued effectiveness, efficiencies, additional trainings, additional recognition opportunities, kind of a holistic approach of looking at all of our commissions. At the time, we had 14 commissions when we brought this item before the city council. After the study session in February, we came back to the city council in April with some further direction to consolidate 3 of the commissions, which included the Youth, Senior, and Parks and Recreation Commission at the time, into one overarching Community Services Commission. We also received direction to reduce the frequency of the Public Art Commission on to a quarterly basis, hence some of the discussion here tonight. And then also to increase training and recognition efforts, bringing back our Commissioner Congress, which we hope to see you all at. So that was the direction in 2022, kind of in a nutshell. 2 years later, at the request of the City Council, we brought back this analysis, but took a little bit of a different approach. So we focused a lot on staffing and costs related to commission-related work. So we put out a survey to the commissioners. Some of you may have seen that on the time that you spend with your volunteer hours on commission-related work. We solicited about 45 responses from that survey and presented that to the City Council on May 1st. We also spoke to the staff liaisons and those staff who are involved in commission-related work to see the hours they spent, and then in the back did some of the math to see the fully burdened costs associated with that. We presented that before the City Council on May 1st, and they gave us further direction to come back sometime in June after going to the commissions, conducting some more outreach, and seeing what you think would work. Different efficiencies, effectiveness, your experience with the commission, and take that before the City Council for further direction. So that's kind of a gist of that timeline. So just a little bit of a recap of where we are with our commissions today. So in 2022, we had 14. Right now, we are at 11 commissions, 4 of which are in the Community Development Department, including Public Art. So this is a breakdown of that. Here, this chart summarizes the survey results of our commissioners in our initial analysis in May of this year. So we took the annual hours of scheduled meetings, the annual hours that commissioners were spending per meeting, and took a look at the annual hours overall of commission-related work. So this is a summary of that. This is also available in the staff report from the May 1st City Council meeting, if anybody would like to reference that. So that brings us here tonight. Just wanted to touch base with you all in person. I know there was 2 virtual input session opportunities last week. We had some pretty great feedback there. We had about, in total, 8 commissioners that we heard from through that process. And we have a follow-up survey that's available that I sent a reminder to the commissioners today. So if you haven't received that, please feel free to reach out, and I'm happy to send that link directly to you. But this survey takes a little bit of a different approach, looking at different consolidation opportunities, if there's an appetite for that, and then looking at just some additional feedback from our commissioners as they serve the city and what works best for them and might work best for staff in the city as a whole. I don't want to limit it to those 2 input opportunities. I wanted to show face at the different commission meetings of the month and give an opportunity for you all to speak here. I will take diligent notes, and then you're more than welcome to contact me at any time as well through my work cell number right there and my email. So I'm happy to open it up to the floor and solicit any input that you guys have tonight on this project and answer any questions. Thank you so much.
Do you have any questions or any comments? Well, I'm interested. I have been kind of active on our committee in an ad hoc Committee, where we are trying to flesh out the public arts policy for the city of South Pasadena. I was in an ad hoc committee with Chris Karamatsu together. It's a pretty big project to take on as a commissioner, as a volunteer, in all honesty. It's something that I think we could really, really use some support uh, from staff or even beyond professional support, where we have gone through and in our attempts, we have, written a memorandum to our committee and laid out various observations and have also identified, future items that we need to work on. But in all honesty, for this to really be moved forward in a more efficient way, it would be great if we could get a little bit more horsepower to help us from staff or even outside source for this. And it is important, and it is on our work plan for our commission. That's my 2 cents on the need for help on a commission, on a kind of an ad hoc basis. I don't know if anyone else has any comments on this, any work that they've been working on or thoughts. Yeah, it's a
All right.
pretty big project that we're kind of trying to do. So,
Great.
and
Well,
it's a really
guys.
important one as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for your time. Feel free to reach out if anything else comes up.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Really
Have a
appreciate
good
you
night. Of
coming
course.
and listening and keeping us informed. Thank you very much. Okay, so onward we go. Which brings us to our 2024 Public Arts Commission Annual Commission Report. It is recommended that the Public Art Commission discuss and approve the annual commission report. So with that, everyone was able to get this report. This is something that has been developed. Allison, you have been putting this together, and I think it's really important that I know we have new members of the commission that we kind of go through this and look at it and discuss this and put it out there for your ideas. Should I start by reading through this? If you look to the last page here, the fiscal year 2024, it's the last page of our binder, is the actual work plan. And the first item of the work plan is to produce a roster of local artists, South Pasadena and the vicinity, as a resource to developers seeking to fulfill the city's public art development requirement with an on-site art installation. And this is something that we have seen as a commission when developers do come on. We've had about, what, 3 or 4 come in?
Presentation.
Yeah, presentations from developers come in, and it's one of the requirements. And, they kind of have to fish around. There's no, we have an arts policy here, or an art, it's almost the kind of legalese. And so that's what I've been working on, is trying to flesh out an arts policy. The criteria for selecting an artist. Next on the agenda, on our task list, is creating a selection at a session. I'm sorry.
An artist pool?
Well, this is what we're talking about. And then
Okay.
we're thinking this would be great to get an artist pool together. Artists that would be kind of a vetted, which would be a resource for these developers to take, so they have a first step, so they're not just casting about, without any kind of direction or help from us. I mean, it's something that I'm personally quite excited about. I think that this is something that would be great for our committee to, to do, and something that is doable with the minds on our committee.
Madam
Thoughts?
Chair?
Yeah.
If I can, I love the idea of the roster of local artists.
Mhm.
Have we discussed this?
We have discussed it. We haven't
we?
gotten into into the nitty gritty of it, but no, we have discussed it. Yes.
Because
we
I
were-
don't recall.
At the last meeting, I think you
Oh.
were absent from that. We did talk about it as something that, we wanted, I think we decided that this was yeah, we did. This is something that we wanted to do. And
Okay.
thus it's showing up on our work plan. So yes. Any other comments on this?
I believe I saw this on last year's work plan, the same item.
Yes, but let's work through the work plan.
Yeah. So does this include the artist pool and like artist hall? Is that what this entails as well?
Yeah,
The
well, this
roster?
specifically is a requirement for the on-site art installation. So the City of Public Arts Development and on art. So when we have the mandate here in South Pasadena that if you put forth a development that there's an art requirement, you can pay a percentage, or this is what Allison was talking about, or you can include an artwork within your within your building. So it would be really, this would be aimed at that, but I mean, we could, discuss having a kind of a broader art pool as well. This is very specific language. So, that's something that, we could certainly talk about right now. Yeah, Commissioner Seal.
Michael Seal, it says South Pasadena and vicinity. Is that a general term that is known within the city? Does it include, is there a specific area outside of the city, or is
No,
is that open for
Yeah,
interpretation?
it's open for interpretation.
Thank
That's
you.
something that I think our committee can certainly, discuss. Usually the way we work on this committee is we have ad hoc committees that kind of come up with, it would be that ad hoc that would kind of talk about this, or come up with the actual works. I think it's important for us to talk about this and what we mean by it, and what, our various ideas are on this. So if you have any thoughts?
No, I think generally for most artist calls, when they say something that's in Los Angeles, they'll say either LA County or Southern California. And I think generally that's.
Yes. Yes, I mean, we live in Southern California. This is incredible arts mecca in the world. So
Yeah, I was just curious if there was anything, and I know we're going to get the specifics sent to us, but I didn't know if it was specifically they were required to use a South Pasadena artist, or it needed to be within a certain mileage, radius around. Okay.
Your point is well taken. but I
Yes,
think
it's
that
important.
We should state specifically that county.
Yes.
I know that I'm in a show at Moet Lancaster, and that was just for Supervisor Barger's district 5 that we happen to be in.
Okay.
But one way or another, we should talk.
Okay. Well, so does anyone suggest, I mean, personally, I suggest, I'm kind of comfortable with a kind of a larger boundary being, California even, or Southern California. I don't know, thoughts on this? Yes.
Michael Seal, should we create an ad hoc committee to sort of, unless there's one that already exists for this, I'd be happy to be a part of that and sort of,
Well, is this just
Defining
for
it?
determining the area?
Well, this is
of
our work
reach?
plan.
Or the work
Right.
plan?
no, I'm
So-
talking about like the work plan and the process of,
Well, I think, I mean,
Identifying?
it seems to me that we could talk right now about the language of the work plan. And I mean, I think the ad hoc committee should be for the actual formulating of the list. And I think personally, I would like to move along. And I would like to have, some real feedback and some information at our next meeting. And I would like that from the ad hoc committee. So we don't kind of languish here and we create the pool and get it going and, have something going. So, I mean, in terms of this, if we want to be specific about the language of the artists, meaning local artists, South Pasadena and vicinity, do we have any thoughts about what we want to say in terms of the vicinity besides, what I'm presenting here is to be something, meaning Southern California or even California?
I think it would be appropriate to say vaguely, artists from Southern California with preference given to artists from South Pasadena.
Yeah, I agree with that as well.
Okay. But when we say with preference, this will be something that would be up to the committee on a instance by instance basis.
It's vague, but I
Yeah.
think it's appropriate.
But it could be indicated within the roster that these are not preferred, but
Yeah, for the-
local.
and,
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I think that the pool should include artists in South Pasadena, within our Southern California region. There should be a kind of a diversity of, of medium, an age diversity, a diversity in economics, the whole gambit. I think that's really important and reflective of our city and also our city statement. Be representative, diversity. Is there anyone else that would be interested in joining Commissioner Seal on the ad hoc committee?
I'd be interested.
Excellent.
Rena Velasco.
Okay, great. Do we have a limit on how many people can join an ad hoc committee? 3? Is it 3?
2.
2. Okay, great. We've got it. Excellent. And of course, we are able to, talk individually and, about our ideas about, this as well. Okay. Okay, great. Exciting. Okay, great. Ad hoc committee. We have, if we can clarify of our language in our work plan, Allison, that produce a roster of local artists, South Pasadena and Southern California, with a preference to South Pasadena artists as a resource to developers seeking to fulfill the city's public art development requirement with an on-site art installation. Does that sound good?
That does, although I have a quick point of
Okay.
question. We're forming an ad hoc committee now, but it seems to me that the results of what we're doing here should be prepared in time for the Commissioners' Congress, which is coming up. Am I wrong?
Okay.
This is Allison Becker, the Deputy Director. We will absolutely make revisions to the work plan so that it is finalized before the Commissioners' Congress.
I just want to make sure that our timing is
Yeah.
correct.
Okay, great. Thank you. Ad hoc committee, and we look forward to having some meaty report from you guys. Okay. Next item, finalize and present the City of South Pasadena's Public Art Program Handbook to City Council for approval. Okay. So this is what I have been working on in my ad hoc committee with Commissioner Kiramatsu, who's no longer on the commission. This is something that, in all honesty, is a very large project. As you heard me state, it's something that I would very much like to get some help with. I think it's such a large amount of work beyond just the committee. That said, I would like to continue doing what I can, and I'm happy to, keep going. I've kind of been in it, and was hoping that perhaps, you know, I honestly, in all honesty, to finalize this will require to have some kind of help beyond just an ad hoc committee.
I have a question for staff. Is it possible to have a member of the ad hoc committee be somebody other than a member of the commission?
Yes, it is possible.
Do you think that former Commissioner Kuramatsu would be interested in continuing to work on this with you?
I don't know. I would have to reach out to her, but I don't know.
Because she certainly knows it better than anyone.
Yeah, she does. She does. When we've spent hours and hours on this. But I mean, it would be something that I would have to reach out to her and,
I think you should do it. Go ahead.
well, I mean, it would be great, but I would also understand her,
Reticence.
reticence, because it is a lot, and to not even be on the commission would be, I think that would be a big ask. That said, I know this makes it really a attractive ad hoc committee to join for our newer members. But if you're interested in arts policy, or if this is something that you've had a, experience with before, that would be greatly beneficial. And this will be something hopefully that we'll get some help with, beyond just the app. So that said, is there anyone that's might be interested in jumping in with this one?
Rena Velasco.
Rena, excellent.
I'm looking at the previous accomplishments. So is that the three sections we will continue working on?
Yes,
or-
we've submitted a memorandum to the committee, and those were approved. So yeah, we're moving on with
So
we
there's a framework.
identified- Well, we have various topics that we're focusing on for this next period.
Oh, I see. Okay.
We have that we have goals for that. Where we're basically continuing to just have like a basic definition of public art. Most importantly, public art's accessioning, de-accessioning process.
Okay.
And then another area of tackling is the public art and private development area. But yeah, hopefully we'll get some assistance. But
From the
thank
city.
you.
Yeah.
Welcome aboard to the Ad Hoc Committee for Public Art Policy Handbook.
And just to be clear, once this is done, I am presuming the city attorney will have to have a pass through this.
Okay.
Am I correct? City attorney will probably have something that would want to look through something that would become city policy.
The city attorney is aware that we are undertaking this layperson's guide.
Right.
But absolutely, before it's presented to council, the city attorney will review. So it's, again, we have the legal foundation in the origin story ordinances. The whole purpose of the handbook is to make it accessible to lay people, to really lay out our procedures for these different aspects of the program. But absolutely, the city attorney will review.
Great. Okay, so our ad hoc is set up for that. The next the next item, evaluate on-site public art proposals as needed. Okay, good. Then monitor the public art.
Can we
Yes.
stop right there? So evaluating the on-site public art proposals as we need. So does that mean that we are evaluating the presentations, or do we have anything to do with the actual placement of the finished art on the property, on the premises? Do we have anything to do with that?
That, my understanding of the mandate from the ordinance suggests that you have quite a lot to do with that precise aspect of the process. Is from the get-go. I think that's been part of the challenge for staff is really not being public art professionals, being urban planners who are responding to applications, not knowing when to bring people forward to make sure that where they're going to be developing their art is of public benefit for the community.
Okay. So typically when there's a building being constructed, an inspector will come out at the end and give you your final approval. Or they'll give you a conditional approval and they'll say you have to do that, thus and such. Is there some kind of a process set up for public art as well? Would somebody be able to look at the art and say, yes, that is complete and that's what they promised and we'll give it an okay?
That becomes a part of the review process, yes. But we need to get at it much earlier for the commission.
Right, okay. So I'm talking about the final art that is produced and put in place. Is somebody approving that?
Someone under the ordinance, there is a check and balance.
Okay. Are we the checks?
You are a part of the process, absolutely.
Good enough.
Okay, so we are ongoing evaluating on-site public art proposals as, I mean, do we want to clarify that language?
No, I'm just wondering if actually that's part of your ad hoc committees, you know, if that's part of your handbook of when things get approved, it might be.
Yeah, well, that's a
Like
big,
gold points.
that's a big section
project?
is,
Well, I mean, just if,
Public
at the
art.
very least, if you said, you know, it has to have an approval from representatives of the commission.
it's a very big part of the public art on private property section of the policy. It's a
Mhm.
big, it's a whole thing.
Okay.
Okay, the final or suggested final, monitor the public art program fund balance and recommend programmatic expenditures when appropriate.
Sounds great.
I love this, and I'm looking forward to,
Hearing
your
about all the money
report.
we have? Yeah.
yes, well, just so we know where we stand and, getting this going is excellent. So, I think that could begin with having a report of our budget, if that's possible, and we can make this part of our meetings, I think would be really helpful. Great. I had another, idea that, I don't know, I wanted to throw this out as something that we might be interested in doing, and that would be to help to identify places within the city where public art might be displayed, a kind of an appropriate place, or just to have ideas, and we could kind of get that together, and form an ad hoc and maybe suggest some places within the city. If that's something that might be something our commission could do or have interest in. So I wanted to kind of throw that out there. Something wouldn't be too onerous, and it would just maybe help to foment when we do have something that we're ready to go. I feel like this is what I want to help do during this period while in 2024 is to set up the framework. So when the money rolls in, we're ready to, fund, know where things are, have a list of artists, have a policy, and then we're ready to roll. Because that's an important part, I think. If we see ourselves in that role, I think we're setting up South Pass for success with art in the future.
Now, just to be clear again, so this roster of possible locations for public art projects, these would be projects that the commission would sponsor that are not from developers, because the developers are only doing their own property.
That's right.
So this would just be for use by us.
True public art. So if
Okay.
there's money in our fund and it's determined that we are going to spend it, we have some ideas of a starting point. So we have built some ideas. So maybe us or a future commission has these places in mind, and we can start thinking about art as a reality instead of, we just sometimes have been bogged down by the lack of policy, just getting infrastructure in place. And it seems to me like this, we could work maybe with someone in the city, or, I know there's a whole raft of issues with, public art spaces and where it needs to be, but even if we come up with 3 potential places as a committee, I think that would be helpful. And I just wondered what thoughts are on that, of adding it to a work.
I mean, it certainly wouldn't hurt to do that, as long as it doesn't take a lot of our time or staff time. to do that. The reality is, I think that, well, at the moment, I'm not sure what the fund balance is, but I have a suspicion. It could be zero. Once we have some money to spend, it is always very easy to spend money. It is very easy to spend money, and it's very easy to find things to spend money on. I think that the idea is a good idea. I don't think that it warrants a lot of effort on
Right.
part of us or staff. But I agree with the idea.
Okay. Yes. Commissioner Seal?
I was just going to say, I agree that something like that should take place, and I'd be happy to be on an ad hoc committee if we were to have this reported in the November meeting. So it gives us some time, and we've got other stuff going on, and it's not
our year report.
right. So this isn't a priority, but it would be great to have it. And is there a current listing? Is there a current listing of public art that the city has sponsored within the city? Where it's located and what it is?
Yes and no
Okay.
is the answer. We have, this is Allison Becker, the deputy director. We have searched through, the city's files. We have uncovered an art project that took place in concert with Spark a number of years ago. Might have been one of the early projects for the commission, where they did a call for all of the beautiful utility boxes. So we do have a very thorough inventory of all of those resources. The other major location for public art, well, there are a few, but one of the core locations is obviously our library campus. And the Library Board of Commissioners has an inventory of all of those resources there. There are a few others on the other one that I can think of is the War Memorial Building. But other than that, we do not. And as Commissioner Burke mentioned, there are a number of pieces of art within the city in public places that could be inventoried. Some that were produced through Metro, our famous walking man in the plaza. There are a number on the Ostrich Farm development. I'm not sure if those were formal obligations or, kind of
Developer largesse.
yes, community inspired developer largesse. But so it has been another topic of interest, and I believe it might have even been on an earlier work plan. But recognizing our limited kind of staff resources and understanding that the policy handbook really had to be one of our highest priorities. Some of these other inventory projects are not as far along.
Thank you.
This is something that we could pursue as a committee and not necessarily have it on our work plan. Is that correct or not?
That's also correct.
So maybe we should do that. Although, I mean, it seems like it's not when, I don't know.
Who's in charge of maintaining the current office?
Oh, that's a great question. I think it depends on, again, this is part of our policy handbook kind of conundrum, right? Is that it's not clear that some of the earliest public art pieces, I haven't been able to put hands on or eyes on agreements for maintenance, which kind of raised our awareness for the need for maintenance agreements, particularly on those instances where public art is being provided on private property. When it comes to public art on public property, That's not something that the Community Development Department manages. I'm gonna hazard a guess that it's one of our other two big departments, which is Public Works or Community Services.
Okay. Well, I'll put it this way. Would there be anyone on our committee that would be interested in kind of spearheading this? The sites, potential sites for public art or being involved in it?
Sure, I'll be happy to be involved with that.
Okay, great. So if Commissioner Burke is involved, do you feel comfortable of adding that into our work plan? Or should we just?
You know what? We may as well get the credit for it
Yeah,
by
let's
putting it
do
in the
it.
work plan. I mean, whether or not we accomplish it
Yeah.
is another question.
Yeah, okay. And I mean, we don't have to have, or even if we come up with one or two sites, this doesn't have to be a comprehensive.
Well, it was
list.
interesting. I noticed that Allison did mention the wraps on the utility boxes, and I know that those do predate this commission. I don't know what the agreement with the city was, but certainly that's one of the most numerous bits of public art that the city has, and so it'd be interesting to, again, I don't want to burden staff more than is necessary, but it would be nice to take a look at some agreement if someone could find it.
And I was involved in that as, I was part of the Spark team that did the kind of, selected the artist.
Oh,
for
yeah?
that. Yeah, at the very first round. And that was really Spark, that was there, sparked up the energy for that. And then, private individuals, paid for those and they fundraised for those as well. Okay, so if we want to approve this work plan with the amendment of the language about expanding or identifying vicinity as Southern California, and then also add in evaluation of potential sites for public art. Is this something that we can approve? So I guess I need to.
Sounds like a great work plan. I would make the proposal as you've described it.
Yeah, let's propose. Okay, great.
I make that proposal if someone wants to second it.
I'll second.
Thank you. Okay, so let's vote on the by roll call.
Commissioner Velasco,
Agree?
Commissioner Seal,
Yes.
Commissioner Piazza, Commissioner Burke,
Yes.
Vice Chair Andres.
Agree.
Motion carries. And Chair, I'm sorry. And Chair.
Isn't it tight?
Okay, so now we're on to administration.
One point, this is Michael Seal. The report that's in here, it states that the Public Art Commission on page 3, Public Art Commissions at the bottom, meetings are held every other month. That should be updated if it is not in fact happening that way.
Well, hope springs eternal.
Well, okay.
Let's leave it, right?
Page 3.
Every other month. That was the plan at one point, but if there's nothing to discuss, there's nothing to discuss.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. We are moving on along here to administration. So we have our city council liaison is not here. And so the council liaison is absent due to her travel schedule and will not be attending tonight's meeting. We now move on to the ad hoc committee. And that now is the sole ad hoc committee, which is me, the Public Arts Policy Committee. To bring you up to date, I was working in tandem, as you now know, with Chris Karamatsu, and she has left the committee, so it kind of left me kind of hanging a little bit. So I haven't been really active in the last few months and realize that that's maybe a good thing because I've got a new ad hoc committee member. I have identified some areas that I'm interested in focusing on in our continual drafting of a public arts policy. I think it's important now that we focus on public art accessioning, de-accessioning, and dealing with gifts and have a policy in place for that. And also to tackle the public art in private developments section of our policy. Those are my two main goals at the moment until we reconvene again. At that point, I'll have a co-ad hoc committee member, and we can bring everyone up to speed, and we hope to present another memorandum regarding our observations and recommendations for our discussion. Thank you.
Do you think that you will have something, do you think it will be close to finished by the time of our next meeting?
I'm not sure. I can't agree to that at this moment. I have to meet with my committee member and our ad hoc committee member and get a sense of our schedule, our work schedules. This is a really big one for us. And hopefully if we have maybe some outside support, we'll go quickly.
Okay.
Okay, but I can't promise that that will be something that will be done.
How soon can the city confirm outside support if that's possible?
For the last several years, the city council has created or rolled over a budget of $25,000 for the Public Art Commission. I did discuss with the chair the possibility of requesting consultant support from an actual public art professional who might be able to help us with the drafting of the handbook. And so that is something that we could pursue. It's an option out there. It does require a process, formulating an RFP, a scope of work, vetting applicants, et cetera, putting contracts together. So it's not something that can happen right away, but it is possible. And in order to finalize the project, it might be the proper investment at this time.
And how would we get the process started for doing that?
Well, every good RFP begins with a nice scope of work.
Okay, understood. Okay, our committee will be working away and we'll have a good scope of work.
I think that what staff is telling you is that if you ask in a very specific way for something, then there is something to forward along to other parts of the city government.
Duly noted. Okay, we've done commissioners communication. So comments from staff liaison communications.
Right. Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Tatiana Marin, Acting Assistant Planner. Thank you all for being here tonight. I guess I'll touch on something that was brought up quite a bit during our meeting, our Public Art Fund account. We currently have $3,097.50.
I'm sorry.
sorry, how much?
Say that one more time.
Your guess was very off. $3,000.97,
Okay.
$3,050. So this is due to the first installment of 50% of the public art in lieu fee for the remodeling project that's happening at the old Vons Shopping Center. So we received that first 50% for that.
So the other 50%,
That I believe comes when before final inspections.
and what's our timeline on that? Do we have one?
I
Just
know
ballpark?
permits were issued in March.
Okay.
So they are currently working out there. That's the status that I have right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
For what it's worth, I think that they are having a soft opening in September. I know that I have a piece of art going in there. So I would think that they would get final move and approval thereabouts or sometime thereafter.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So our budget will then double.
Correct.
Okay, great.
And that's
Excellent.
all I had to report. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Welcome report.
Well, I have a question. Other projects in the pipeline. I know we have discussed this in the past, and I know that it should be a function of the meeting that we have every time. So I just thought I'd kick it off. What projects do we have in the pipeline?
Not to my knowledge, I'm not
I can
aware.
answer
Okay,
that.
thank you.
Thank you, Tatiana. So as I mentioned earlier, Allison Becker, Deputy Director, as I mentioned earlier, last year we put together a list of five or six projects that we expected fees from. All of those, some of them had come before the commission with conceptual plans. Because those conceptual plans didn't evolve into solid proposals, given the timelines that are stipulated in the ordinance for review and approval. We sent kind of fee notices to all of those developments. And then over the course of the last year, those entitlements have expired. In one instance, the Seven Patios project, that project is being re-entitled exactly as is. For the other projects, several either 100% housing or mixed-use projects along Mission Street, those projects are coming in under the new downtown specific plan, anticipating higher intensity development. So we've had the opportunity to make sure that our pre-development consultations kind of daylight the public art component very early so that we have more certainty both for the commission and for the developer as to whether or not they're going to opt for public art on site or if they're going to pay the fee. So by the next meeting, we'll have a better sense. We have 3 pre-entitlement conferences that have been scheduled this quarter for projects of a scale that will certainly qualify them for public art requirement. And, we'll continue to apprise you as appropriate. Because that's in pre-development and not an actual project, I'm, not at liberty to say exactly where and, that sort of thing.
Okay, that's good. If I can ask you just about one specific project, I noticed that there's been ground up construction of new residential spaces at the corner of Spruce and Fair Oaks. Were they subject to public art requirements?
That is not one that's on our list.
Because I see that they're there, and I know that the one that we have approved
Mhm.
was nearly across the street.
Mhm.
And it was a very similar project. And I'm wondering if they had a public arts requirement, shouldn't this new construction have that? And I'm wondering if maybe that's something city staff could look into.
I have researched it to the extent that I understand when the city is obligated to inform developers of the obligation to provide public art.
Yeah.
And I believe that didn't happen.
Really?
I wasn't here personally, but, the entitlements for that project, were probably a COVID era entitlement. We could certainly kind of provide you with the contours of it.
That may have been during the tenure of our previous city manager. I believe when that may have happened. I have to tell you, in the 5.5 years, though, that project has never come before us.
Mhm.
So maybe it's not subject, though I wouldn't see why. But there you are.
One of the things we've worked on a lot with the commission and with staff over the last year is just raising, our whole team is new. Raising awareness about the public art obligation, what the 1% for the art is, how it gets built into our workflows to make sure that planners are asking the right questions at the right time.
Mhm.
And so I can assure you that moving forward, that's hard baked into our procedure, but I honestly can't speak for what was happening
Previously.
before.
Okay, thank you.
And I can't help but think that having a public policy handbook with a layout will be essentially important. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so at this time, our meeting is concluding. And I am going to adjourn to the next scheduled meeting, which is on August 26th.
What day of the week is that?
Let's look.
The Monday?
Monday, August 26th. Okay, and yes.
I will not be available. Sorry. I will be out of town.
Okay. So can we-
Specifically, I will be at Burning Man, so there you go.
Okay, so should we schedule another meeting or we can do an August
you-
meeting?
If
Sure.
you have a quorum, you could meet without me, but
I'd like you to be.
I would like to be there, but I don't want to inconvenience everyone.
So can we just have it say August meeting and then we can send around some more dates? Is
Do
that-
it the week before, that would be fine, but it depends on the availability of spaces and things.
That is the scheduling conundrum, is just making sure that there's a place to meet. So if it is the pleasure of the commission to try and reorganize, we're happy to do that. And in this instance, maybe we adjourn with that date certain, just so we have it, but we in turn will look and see if we can field an alternative date.
Yeah, I feel comfortable with that.
Sorry.
No,
Thank
I'm
you.
glad you said something. Okay, with that, the
Adjourn.
meeting is adjourned.